Hello, everyone. It's my own way here. As someone born in 1997, I'm part of the oldest generation of Gen Z. That also means I've watched members of Gen Z and Gen Alpha begin growing up. And honestly, I know a lot of you are struggling. Whether you're in middle school, high school, college, or just trying to figure out what to do with your life, I know this world can feel extremely overwhelming. You're constantly hearing opinions from parents, teachers, friends, social media, and strangers online. Everyone seems to have an idea of who you should be and what you should do with your life. I know what that's like. When I was growing up, everybody seemed to have the same formula for success: go to school, go to college, get married, buy a house, get a good job. Like that was the only path that existed. But here's something I wish someone had told me. Most adults don't know what they're doing either. They're trying to help, and some of them genuinely mean well, but they don't have the answer for your life. And many of them are simply living the life they were just taught to live. One thing I've realized is that the world we're stepping into isn't the same one they stepped into. The economy has changed, housing costs have changed, the cost of living has changed. Many of us are having to make sacrifices just to stay financially stable. For example, I'm currently living in a small studio apartment with no freezer, no dishwasher, no laundry machines. Not because it's my dream apartment, but because it allows me to save money, avoid living paycheck to paycheck, and investing in my future. Plus, I don't go into any debt, and that is like a luxury today by not having debt. That's the reality for a lot of people my age. So if your life doesn't look like someone else's did 30 or 40 years ago, don't automatically assume you failed. You're playing a different game with a different set of challenges. But I should say this: I don't even know the answer for your life, really. But what I can do is share what I've learned from my own journey as a Gen Zer, because maybe it'll help someone who's feeling the same way I once did. When I was in school, I spent way too much time worrying about everyone else. I worried about what people thought of me. I tried to make everyone happy. I listened to everyone else's opinions before I ever listened to my own. Between school, teachers, classmates, and everything going on at home, I never really had the chance to discover who I actually was. And to be honest, I was miserable. But something took me years to understand. A lot of the other kids were miserable too. The difference was that many of them didn't know how to deal with what they were feeling. So instead of facing their own pain, they took it out on other people. They made fun of people, they spread rumors, they laughed at others, they tried to make someone else feel just as miserable as they were. That doesn't make it okay, but it helped me realize something important too. People who are hurting often end up hurting other people. Once I understood that, I stopped believing every insult that was thrown at me. I stopped thinking every nasty comment meant there was something wrong with me. Most of the time, what people were saying had more to do with what they were carrying inside themselves than it ever had to do with me. Although, I will admit, there are also people who do these things just because they can, and that makes them pieces of. Although life has a way of humbling people eventually. Sometimes it's through consequences, sometimes it's through failure, sometimes it's through realizing they aren't as untouchable as they once believed. Remember what they say: there's always a bigger fish. But anyway, for years I thought something was wrong with me. Looking back, nothing was wrong with me. I just never had the opportunity to get to know myself. And I think a lot of young people today are dealing with the exact same thing. When you're surrounded by constant noise every day, it's impossible to hear your own voice. One thing I've learned over the years is this: every single person has something they're naturally good at: a talent, a skill, a passion, a gift. Sometimes it takes years to discover it, and that's okay. Don't let anyone convince you that because you haven't figured it out yet, you've somehow failed. I mean, at this point, the way everything's going, life isn't a race, it's a journey, no matter what anyone says, including family. If I could give one piece of advice to Gen Z and Gen Alpha, it would be this: take advice into consideration, but don't take it to heart. There is a difference. Listen, learn, think about what people tell you, but don't let every opinion become your identity. Parents, teachers, friends, even me. Nobody else gets to decide who you're supposed to become. For me, one of the best decisions I ever made was simply getting into the workforce, not because I knew exactly what I wanted to do, because I didn't. I just started somewhere. I worked for the post office for almost 2 years. Then I became a medical courier transporting specimens between hospitals. I actually loved that job. Eventually, I moved on after the company introduced changes I wasn't comfortable with. I'll give you a hint. This was back in 2020. After that, I became an Amazon delivery driver. I even won a PlayStation 5 while working there. And mind you, this was during the time the scalpers hogged all of them right when they released, so that was a very big blessing. But physically, that job wasn't for me. Walking endless flights of stairs every day eventually wore me down. Then I found another company where I worked in a physically demanding position for almost 3 years. It paid well. I even got to take a company vehicle home. But after a while, I realized I couldn't see myself doing that kind of work forever. One day, my company talked about different career opportunities. Instead of quitting, I decided to ask if I could shadow another department. I spent time learning, I asked questions, I helped whenever I got the chance. Eventually, I earned the office position I still have today. Looking back, every one of those jobs taught me something. Every one of them added experience. Every one of them built my resume. And every one of them brought me one step closer to where I am now. If I had waited around trying to find the perfect career before starting, I probably never would have found the path I'm on today. So if you're graduating high school, or you're wondering whether college is right for you, or maybe you have absolutely no idea what you're supposed to do, try not to panic. You do not have to have your whole life figured out right now. For me, getting into the workforce helped me discover what I enjoyed and what I didn't. That might not be everyone's path, but starting somewhere and gaining experience taught me far more about myself than sitting around waiting for the perfect answer. You'll meet different people, you'll learn different skills, you'll discover what fits you, and just as importantly, you'll discover what doesn't. That's how you begin finding yourself. If you're Gen Z or Gen Alpha, or maybe you're from another generation and went through the exact same thing and you're struggling right now, I want you to hear this. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not a failure. Just because someone couldn't see your value doesn't mean you don't have any. Sometimes life has to get quiet before you can finally hear your own voice. Take time to get to know yourself. Find out what you're naturally good at. Build your experience. Don't be afraid to change directions, even. And remember, your path doesn't have to look like everyone else's. One day you'll look back and realize the person everyone kept trying to change was the person you were always meant to become. Thank you all for watching. This is my own way, and as always, find your own way.